You ready to do this, Stu?
I am ready. Punch it, chewy!
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot is Stu Jones.
Hey there, howdy.
We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 96, the first championship of the Bulls' second go-round.
Oh, here we go again.
We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Stu, did you think I was going to come with anything less?
That explains the whole stupid grin you had just leading up to us starting this.
I love my Chicago Bulls, baby. I wish they were doing something decent now, but that's not the case. Anyway, this is not a sports podcast.
I almost have to find an excuse to get off of the next one, because 97 was a sour year for me.
98 probably as well.
97 was the worst. That was the what was it, double overtime?
Yeah.
I was in Kuwait, buzzer, done.
Yeah.
It was a very lonely place to be.
I loved it. It was good for me. Probably, though, because I was in Chicago at the time, and, it was a nice place. Anyway, this is not a sports podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about nerd and pop culture, and once a month or every 6 weeks or whenever Britta is available, she joins us, and we have a movie club, and we talk usually about a movie. We're going to switch it up and do something a little different a little later on. But Britta is here. Britta, welcome back into the Fortress of Nerditude. How are you tonight?
I am good. It is nice to be back. It has been quite a while since I've been here with all our super friends.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too, Stu. Oh my gosh, I've been exhausted, pretty much is the only word I have. Work has been crazy. I have a new schedule with Charlie starting school and going in late, dropping him off, and working later, and we've recently, over the last couple weeks, I've had this is my busy time of year, so I've had a lot of really early morning meetings, we do a big event for our clients we did last week, which meant I had to wake up at 4 in the morning to get ready, to get down there in time and set up, so that was a very exhausting day, and today was one of those days where I had an early morning meeting, about 20, 30 minutes away. And so I had to drop off the kids really early at daycare. And daycare was dropping Charlie off at school today. And I was supposed to pick up Charlie from school. And about noon, I get a call from daycare saying, hey, is Charlie coming today? It's lunchtime. He's not here. He got off school a half an hour ago. And I went, aw, crap. I mean, you always know it's going to happen. You're going to forget your kid someday. I just knew it. Yeah. I just didn't think it'd only be a month into school. So I go running.
I mean, that's when the routine is still being really disrupted and stuff. So
it's just been nutty. And so, yeah, I felt
so let me give you my side of this, okay? So I get a phone call from school, and I don't know if I'm the first contact or if maybe Britta just missed on. I hope I'm not the first contact.
No, I'm the first contact. They left me a message, but I was in another meeting and missed it.
So I get this phone call, and I don't recognize the number. I really should program it in so it says Antelope Elementary, so I know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I pick up the phone, and they said, I said, hello, this is Spencer. And they said, hi, this is like Kara from Antelope Elementary. And immediately I'm thinking, why is the school calling me directly? And I said, okay, yeah, what can I do for you? He said, is someone coming to pick up Charlie today? Because he's sitting here in the office with us. No one came to pick him up. And I was like, I think so. And he says, and then they said, Charlie said that Miss Brittany was coming to pick him up, but we don't have Miss Brittany's number. And then I realized I don't have our daycare lady's phone number either in my phone. I was like, oh crap, I'm a horrible parent. And I said, let me make some calls. If no one can do this, I'm 20 minutes away. I'll be on my way. And then I called Britta, and Britta's like, I know, I figured it out. And I was like, okay, just glad. This isn't like the time my parents left me at the soccer fields for 8 hours and they forgot me and I walked 5 miles home and then got home and no one was at home and they went off to the mall like all day to do like shopping or something and like they totally left me there and forgot that I was at the soccer fields. So
how about your parents leaving you in Duchesne on Christmas Eve for an entire day? Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, I win.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I felt like this was awkward, so I had to add my own. It's a family awkwardness here. It's good.
So the nice thing is, I did ask the lady when I called her back. I said, "Is Charlie okay?" And she said, "Oh, he's fine. He's just sitting here on the bench coloring with some crayons." I was like, "All right."
Yeah. When I walked
never
in,
even care.
He was getting a new picture to color, and he goes, "Hey, Mom, what took you so long?" I was like, I forgot, bud. I'm sorry. And he was coloring. He showed me a picture of, as he calls it, the treasure cat that he colored. Oh. It's the Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland. The treasure cat.
The treasure cat.
The treasure cat.
The treasures that away.
Right. And then he was picking up a new picture of Lego people, and he was like, "Mom, can I just stay a little longer and color this picture?" I was like, "No, bud, you need to go eat lunch now. Let's go." So he was fine. He's over it, and I'm sure he's not traumatized by this event, but I'm a little bit traumatized by this event. So,
it happens to the best of us.
I know. Everyone's been telling me their stories now to make me not feel as bad.
I don't usually take the boys to go get Happy Meals on Monday nights. Usually maybe we do it like once a week or once every other week. But I was like, Charlie kind of got abandoned today. Maybe let's just take him and get him Happy Meals. And,
now
I'll feel better.
That's indirect conditioning, though. Now he's going to want to get abandoned again to get another Happy Meal.
Because he's going to get
I didn't tell him why we were getting Happy Meals. They just said, "Daddy, can we get Happy Meals?" And I went, "Yeah, buddy, we can do that."
It'll just be unintentionally Pavlovian. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, you win. Best parent of the day, Spencer. I'm worst parent of the day.
I don't know about best, but
My daughter got up. She ate. She went to school. She came back. She ate again. I'm really middle of the road today.
Well, at least you didn't abandon your daughter today, so there's always that.
Tomorrow's another day.
Well, what else is going on, Britta?
Other than that, it's just work. It's just crazy busy time. So, my parents were here a week and a half ago. We got to take the kids to the Museum of Natural Curiosity. I had never been there before. It was really cool. They have this whole rainforest section.
I'm really curious about what they have there.
Are you naturally curious about it? Jeez.
Oh, bother.
No, it's just a really fun, interactive place for kids to play. There's a whole water section. They can play with water and stuff and learn about their environment and all kinds of things. And it was really cool. The kids loved it.
Now,
we played a lot of drums.
Sorry, that's the one up in Ogden. Is that correct?
No, it's actually down at Thanksgiving Point.
Oh!
So,
sorry, wrong
down
one.
south of Salt Lake.
Gotcha.
I think the one in Ogden's the Treehouse Museum.
Mm-hmm.
That's
that one's also very cool, but different.
Yeah, which is also very cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
well, cool.
That's what I got.
Cool. Stu, what's going on with you, man?
Not abandoning my kids, so that's good.
+1 for Stu.
That's about the best thing that's going on right now. It's been a crazy week. Unfortunately, as much as I wanted to last week, and I was all psyched up to do it and thinking that, I was going to make it happen no matter what, life has decided to get the better of me, and I had to drop out of the D&D group. Yeah. And even more exciting, I didn't even realize it was Brian on there. I was really jazzed up, but it's getting crazy. Looking at hiring a housekeeper to kind of help me get things back under control. I did not expect this to get, and it's like little simple stuff. It's not like there's, I'm busy every day of the week taking her to, things more responsible people would do. But yeah, so I'm behind, and that's frustrating, and I kind of need to take a step back and get things back under control. Missed out on the D&D stuff. That was the thing that I really wanted to be able to do more than anything else, but hashtag adulting, I guess.
Yeah, and we did miss you, but I'm glad you're doing what you need to do to take care of Morgana and your household and whatnot, and that's more important because we can always D&D it up another time.
For sure.
Yeah. I did go. I did get a chance to go drinking with some friends and kind of cut loose a little bit over the weekend. Some other things, I don't know. Shouldn't jinx anything, so I'm gonna shut up about it. Just
a love machine.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I am
baby.
What the heck? Oh my god. Wow.
But we won't jinx it. We will talk about it at another time.
I've got that impression.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing this podcast a little while now and still don't learn my lesson.
Surprised you haven't learned it yet, Stu.
But I'm here on the podcast.
Give it 9 years. You'll learn.
Yeah, right. No, I won't.
No one ever does.
Otherwise, I'm just kind of hanging in there. But I did make the podcast. That's, of all the things I kind of wanted that I needed to kind of shut aside and whatever, there's some things that I need to have. The podcast, talking to the Super Friends, talking to you guys both. This is really kind of my chance to be 100% genuine. And that's something I can't give up. So here I am.
I love that, Stu. And that's exactly how I feel too. Like this is, I said this a long time ago when Steve and I started this, and I think it every single week when I put on the headphones and I sit down in front of the microphone right before we record, is that this is the one time of the week where I get to just, yes, I'm a dad, but for this moment, I'm not a dad. I'm just a guy. I'm having fun. I'm in the moment. I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and it's recharging. Like it fills me up so that I can make it through the week sometimes. And I need this too. So I'm glad we have this time together.
Where's my pork chop pizza?
Oh, here we go. Well, that's the show, folks.
I never did take you up on the offer of the barbecued meat stuff.
Dude, I've got a bunch frozen over here. Come on over.
I might have to.
Seriously.
Today I settled for Walmart now has heated pizza that you can buy at the check stands.
Really?
That takes a part of your soul.
That bad?
Yes. It is the lowest common denominator.
Is it like the pizza you can get in 7-Eleven?
Worse.
Ooh.
That was my lowest baseline. There was the 7-Eleven pizza. This is worse.
Really? That's when you're hard up and you're like, I just don't have time to make.
Well, lesson learned. I will take the extra 5 minutes to go to Little Caesars next time.
Or just get a Hungry Man and toss it in the microwave.
I've got to do 2 of them. There's 2 of us here. I don't have time for that.
True. I see what you're saying.
Or Lunchables.
That's right.
Just buy 2 microwaves. You're good.
Oh, too funny. So my week was kind of a crazy week, right? So, obviously going back to last week, I had my boss in town for the first time last week, so we recorded on Monday nights like we usually do, and my boss was here Monday, Tuesday, so I usually edit the podcast Tuesday during my lunch break, and I didn't get a chance to do that, and then Tuesday night I was just so exhausted, and so I didn't edit Tuesday night. Then Wednesday got away from me, and so I ended up having to edit late into the night Wednesday night, and get all the media done and all that, kind of stuff that we do for the podcast to get it out on time so it's ready on Thursday morning for our Super Friends, because that's a commitment that I made that I always want to release consistently at the same time. And if it means I lose some sleep, I lose some sleep, because I'd rather it be there for the Super Friends when they wake up Thursday morning. And so I did that, but of course that meant I didn't have a ton of time to prep for D&D on Thursday night. And then so I'm trying to prep during lunch and on Thursday, and I come home and I literally told Britta and the kids, I said, hey, I'm going to go for my walk, then I'm going to come back and then I need to do a whole bunch of reading, and I need to prep as much as possible. And I was also talking with Thomas King, who was going to step in and fill an empty spot. And so I was trying to coordinate with him, like, okay, here's kind of where we're at. And he's played like the first kind of, I think, half of that campaign. So I kind of said, like, here's where we're at. Let's do this. And try to like work on a little bit of a backstory for how we could bring him in and explain it. And so we figured all that out, and then ran the D&D, and we had a lot of fun. I did miss having you there, Stu, but you know, we had a good time. I totally had this expectation that they were going to blow through much more of the content on Thursday night than they actually did. We only got through about half of what I thought we would get through. Oh. And it was interesting too, because I had this whole plan for, there's this little spot where these wolves were going to, you know, have this battle, and they were going to be angry, and they were going to. You're
not spoiling anything, are you?
No, not for these guys, because they've already played this part. But instead they decided to go back out into the little opening, the little clearing where they killed some goblins, and chop up the goblin bodies and like take the goblin meat and make it into steaks and like cook it up and feed it to these wolves. And they ended up getting the wolves like docile, and then they released the wolves, and the wolves ran off into the wild. And I was like, boy, that's not how I saw that thing going. They were going to have a fight with these
You
three
are
angry
now
wolves,
officially broken in as a DM.
Man, I laughed so hard. I was like, yeah, that's not how I thought that was going to go. But, you know, that's not to say that a surprise could still be waiting around the corner later. But, yeah.
A big red dragon that plants revenge for the Dungeon Master.
Right. You let my wolves go, blah, 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 you know.
The official dragon of unfulfilled plans.
Right. But so the funny thing is, like, that's my second time DMing, right? Second. I want to quote this because it's important. Second ever. And so like the next day or 2 days later, our good old super listener, super friend, Chad Fackler, aka @BearTheHairless on Twitter, someone was asking for recommendations for a DM, and he recommended me. And I was like, I was humbled by that, obviously. And I was like, but there's no way that I'm actually going to contact this person and say, yes, I can do this for you, because this person, I think, was like looking for someone to stream, and someone probably a lot more polished than I am. But it was really nice, though, that he thought of me and knew that I was, you know, getting into that and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, that's really cool. So a good, like I've said before, we've got a great community here, the Fortress of Nerditude. But it seems like, you know, kind of this D&D community that we're starting to get some more super friends from, seems to be another really great community. So good people out there everywhere on the internet. You just have to ignore a lot of the noise, and you can find plenty of great people. Over the weekend, I went on a motorcycle ride for a charity organization. They were raising money for this little girl that's got way too many health problems to list, but essentially, you know, she needs some help, and they are trying to get her a better wheelchair, like a motorized wheelchair, because I guess they live kind of out in the country, and her wheelchair gets stuck in their driveway a lot, and she can't even get to the car with her family. So did that and had a lot of fun. And then Britta and I went on a date night Saturday night with some members of my motorcycle club, and had a fun time. Went up to this place called Billy Blanco's in Park City.
You didn't go to Home Depot?
No, we didn't go to the Home Depot for a date night.
Oh, usually it's Walgreens, so, you know.
Or Best Buy.
Yeah, or Best Buy.
Anyway,
and this.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention was that a little while ago, after we had our talk about kind of like,
I was going to say, you forgot to mention the most important thing about the date night. We played a gambling game, and I won.
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
This is my update. Maybe you should have talked about that in your update.
Well, I kind of forgot.
I don't like it when mommy and daddy fight.
I won $15.
Oh.
Yeah. I had to bankroll her so she could win that $15.
You had to bankroll me, please.
Daddy had to take his $10 out first out of the 25 she won.
Oh my gosh.
I never win anything. I was so excited.
Because it came from my poker winnings. That's not the only reason why. I was like, this is mine. This is coming back to me. Anyway, last thing I did want to mention is a little while ago, we did talk about like extended universe Star Wars stories. Mm-hmm. And I recommended, you know, the Timothy Zahn, the Thrawn trilogy. And I'm now into book 2, The Dark Force Rising. And I've been listening to that, and it was one of these things where like I listened to Heir to the Empire and I was enjoying it, but I kind of wasn't hooked all the way. Like I remembered from like way back in the 90s when I read it the first time. And then so somehow we went on vacation and I got hooked back on the Harry Potter series and I listened to all 7 of those books and then jumped back to the Thrawn trilogy. And man, like, I don't know what happened, but somewhere early in the second book, like I just got hooked and like now I'm every spare moment trying to listen when and where I can. So
Sweet.
If you haven't listened to that series, it really is good. The audiobook's a little more audio drama. They've got music and some sound effects, but yeah, otherwise, if you can ignore that or if that doesn't bug you, great books. Just great books. Worth a listen.
Great books, worth a listen.
Yeah, because I'm doing the Audible thing.
Yeah, I know. That's just so ironic.
It's just a random weird combo,
Yes,
yeah.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know I tell people I read books all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, I read that book. I'm like, technically I listened to it. It's the same thing.
Well, I mean, there's one thing I wanted to ask. Is there any more updates? Because there's one thing you can do with books a lot better than you can with an audiobook. That's kill Bothans.
Ooh.
You like
Can
that?
we kill Bothans?
I'm okay with killing Bothans.
Britta?
Kill the Bothans.
Can we kill Bothans?
All right, killing Bothans.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, super friends, it is that time for Rebel Intelligence. Britta, you are back once again. How about you kick it off and give us what you got?
All right, so everyone knows the new Doctor Who's coming out.
Really?
Does everyone know that?
Well, they should know that.
That's right, they should.
If they don't know that, they better know it now.
I mean, it's just another Doctor.
It's not just another Doctor. It's the new Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, our new female Doctor.
Hashtag I'm with her.
Oh. Wow. No, that's not where you use that hashtag.
Which I'm very much looking forward to. Super excited about it. They came out with some news. Whole new Doctor, new TARDIS, new cast, everything. Also, we're going to have only new monsters. So no Cybermen, no Daleks, none of the old guys. It's all new, the whole season. Also, I thought was interesting is no two-parters.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm not a Doctor Who guy, and I'm even familiar with like all the monsters and stuff. So all new monsters.
Right?
That's actually pretty intriguing.
Kind of intriguing.
Now, they're just saying, though, that's only this first season of Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, right?
That's all they're saying. So we don't know if going forward, I would assume going forward, eventually we'd see the Daleks again or the Cybermen, you know, those classic monsters that replay. But for right now, first season, all new monsters, which I'm super excited about because when they bring in something new, like remember when they brought in the angels, the weeping angels, like that was brand new. That had never been on there before. That was the coolest and like one of the best episodes ever. So I'm really excited about seeing some new.
And they did bring the Weeping Angels back another probably 2 or 3 times later on. So like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, let's introduce something new, some new monsters, some new plot hooks and storylines that they can kind of build off of. I like that idea.
Yeah.
You know, every time I've thought about watching Doctor Who, and I've tried a couple times, and I have not been successful on that second attempt. Despite that, I've always wanted to start from the beginning, and because I don't want to miss anything. I want to be familiar with the plots, but honestly, I'm actually kind of thinking about just starting it with this Doctor.
I think you probably can. I mean, you know
there's
the
so much
basics
about it
of
that
the whole
seems
story,
cool.
right? I think you can just jump in wherever. Anytime there's a new Doctor, it's really easy to just kind of jump in and start over.
Yeah, I agree. At a regeneration point for the Doctor, when the Doctor switches to the new actor or actress that will play the Doctor, I think that's a good point. And with this not having any of the old monsters, it's going to be all new storylines, I would imagine, for the most part. This probably would be a good place to jump in, and then if you get into it, then you can always go back.
Yeah.
And you can rewatch the older stuff, because then you'll be invested in the show and in the character. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not just that it's a female doctor. I mean, that's cool.
Right.
Right.
I'm not necessarily one to do something simply for that reason, but I mean, they're just doing everything surrounding that as well so well, and it's just really exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting, and there's so many new things, new showrunners, whole new cast, like everything. I just think it's going to be... I'm just really excited for it. I've been excited for a Doctor Who for a couple seasons, so.
we've actually talked about finishing off of Peter Capaldi's last season to be ready for this new one. But part of me wants to go back because after meeting David Tennant at FanX and knowing like his kind of like some of the big story arcs in his seasons and kind of how his run as Doctor Who ends, and then going into the Matt Smith run, like that was some of my favorite Doctor Who stuff, just absolute favorite. And so I almost want to start over again and like watch it all, but I got a lot of stuff I need to be watching right now. So, and a lot of things I'm trying to watch. So I think we'll just end up getting caught up and then get current and then eventually go back and rewatch. But
I don't know. I might watch this one. If I like it enough, maybe I'll go back. But it sounds like this is just going to be a romping good time anyway, regardless of previous stuff. So
yeah,
all
I think so.
all the pictures and things I've seen just look super cool.
nice.
So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Stu, what do you got?
Well, I've kind of been riding the Diablo hype train. Mentioned a few weeks ago that they had announced there were a few new things coming for Diablo. We've seen that the Switch is getting it. They're actually doing some testing this week on their online system with Diablo 3. So all that is fine and good, but Variety also reported, thanks to a tweet that was later and quickly deleted from Boom Studios founder, Hellboy screenwriter Andrew Cosby, confirming that they're in the final talks for a Netflix adaptation of Diablo.
Really?
So, yeah, we're going to get some demon-slaying madness. One of the things I've always loved about Diablo is the lore and the story behind it. And, I mean, I'm more excited for the cutscenes between acts. I mean, if you've seen any Blizzard, cinematics, they may as well be a motion picture studio. Like, I wish they had done the actual Warcraft movie itself. They just do it so well, and all those cutscenes are fantastic. So all the lore around Diablo has just really been what I like, and the spin on the classic angels versus devils, and it's just done with such a dark twist to it, and there's some surprises, and I'm really excited to see this. I want to see this kind of expand into its own thing. Castlevania was very well received on Netflix as far as a video game adaptation into Netflix, and I know that kind of breaks the movie curse, but it's not movies, it's Netflix, so hey.
Right, it's streaming content. So I've never played a Diablo game.
Which is a tragedy.
Right, and I've been told that, and every year or so, Diablo goes on a big sale online, and my buddy always messages me like a week or two after, says, "So did you get Diablo 3?" I was like, no, should I? He's like, "Oh, it was on sale. It was like, ridiculously cheap, like $5 or $10." And I was like, "Oh, I would have got it at that price." I'm like, "What is it now?" I was like, "Oh, it's back to 40." I'm like, "Nah, never mind." And so I always seem to miss it. So this is one of these things like where we talked about The Witcher last week. Mm-hmm. I've never played it, but now it's coming to Netflix. So maybe I just kind of watch it and kind of get the idea, the general gist of kind of the feel and tone of what the game is through a cinematic form.
Yeah, I mean, I like the lore, but the game is also really freaking fun too. So the nice thing is like Witcher 3, that is, forfeit a chunk of your life to get through that for sure. Diablo is really good at being very pick up and play friendly. And like with every expansion they have, they seem to have some or every update they have some focus on making the game more pick up and play friendly, so that you can just jump in, smash a few demons, get maybe a couple pieces of loot, and then log back out of it. You can really enjoy Diablo at a very casual pace. But anyway, just saying. And I actually have it on both of my consoles, and I have a couple controllers. So if
So
you ever
you're
wanted
saying
to
is-
really check it out,
So you're saying is I need to bring over some smoked meat and we should play some Diablo
that would
and
be a
have
good
a good
afternoon.
time. Okay. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to make that happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick on the video game thing here for a minute. So, as you know, this has happened recently where Nintendo came out with a Nintendo Entertainment System Classic, and that thing sold out like crazy, and then they had problems because they said they weren't going to make enough, and da-da-da-da-da. Then they came out with the SNES Classic, and then re-released the NES Classic. So Sony is getting its feet into this proverbial pool, and they said, hey, to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the original PlayStation, on December 3rd, they're releasing the PlayStation Classic. And it's basically like a miniaturized version of the original PlayStation. The controller doesn't have any analog sticks. It doesn't have rumble in it. It's exactly kind of how it was 25 years ago. But here's the thing. They've only announced, they said it's coming with 20 games. Okay. So I'm like, okay, 20 games. That's about how many came out with the SNES Classic, somewhere right around there. I think the NES Classic was 30 games. But those respectively were like $60 for the NES and I think like $80 for the SNES. This is coming in at $100. So it's more expensive right off the bat. And then they've only released the names of 5 of the 20 games. And it's Jumping Flash, Wild Arms, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Final Fantasy 7. Now, to me, Final Fantasy 7 makes a whole lot of sense because that was a massive, massive title for that console.
Right.
I remember Tekken 3. I didn't play it a lot, but I remember it. I don't remember Ridge Racer Type 4. I don't remember Jumping Flash, and I don't remember Wild Arms at all. So my worry is if they're only announcing these, are they holding back some big names to release at a later date? Or is this the biggest names they have?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of, if you're leading out the gate with Final Fantasy VII, I can't imagine that they're really going to have some big surprises.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
the technology behind it, it's going to be a little more expensive. To be honest, while I enjoyed the Nintendo era a lot more consistently, Sony PlayStation had a couple really big hits, but it was only those really big hits that I really truly enjoyed.
Right.
It did definitely usher in the age of competition in consoles, and that we should all be very thankful for.
Yeah.
But as far as the number of titles that I really loved, there weren't really all that many from PlayStation.
See, I think if they came out with like Metal Gear, I think that would be a huge console title. What's the game? I was gonna say Crazy Taxi, but that's not it. What's the name of that? It's the racing game where you're like kind of like in a battle mode and Twisted Metal. Gosh,
right.
Like Twisted Metal, those were big games. My brother Josh and I played the mess out of some of the Twisted Metal games. I also loved this little game called Soviet Strike that was on there, where you were kind of controlling the helicopter. It almost felt like a SNES or NES game that had just kind of had better graphics, kind of like the 1941 type of game where you just kind of flew around and you'd blow stuff up and pick up like little depots. That, and they had like a Die Hard trilogy game that I loved to play where you were like first person shooter. It was like an arcade style type of game. But I mean, yeah, there's some big titles on this, but I don't know. I think for $100, you better bust out all the heavy hitters, all the big names, all the big, things that are going to pull someone in. Because to be honest, if this is just Final Fantasy VII's the big one, I've got Final Fantasy VII on my PS4. I've got it on my Vita. I had it on my PSP. Like, it's coming to Switch. I can replay my original Final Fantasy and have that love still in a lot of other places. I don't really need to shell out $100 for Final Fantasy VII at this point in my life.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to see the full list to even be interested. Now, I mean, actually, even if it's a great list, I am probably not the guy that's going to get it. I did not get the NES. I did not get the Super NES. I love them. I would love to play them, but frankly, I have over 1,000 games on Steam.
Right.
I've got I've got all the major consoles. If I'm going to get more time to play, which is actually at a premium these days, I don't see myself going there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get it either unless something comes out of the woodwork that I just have to have. Because I feel like most of the things from back in that generation that I want, I already have, and I have elsewhere. So,
well,
but Sony's got a little bit of time. They could surprise me and do something out of the ordinary and to get my money. But as it stands, I think I'm okay.
I don't know. Sorry, for out of the ordinary, nobody's got anything on Nintendo right now.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think the Nintendo, especially the NES, such like hardcore nostalgia that it was selling those things on nostalgia alone. I mean, yes, I got it. And there's a lot of great games, but like, I never really was a Kirby's Adventure guy. But the fact that I have that on a replica of that original system, along with a bunch of other stuff, Zeldas and Marios, and I mean, yeah, that's childhood. This is like, the PlayStation was like my teenage years. And so I don't know. The nostalgia thing's not as hardcore for me on this one. Anyway.
I agree.
Yeah. Britta, did you have something else for us?
Yeah. So, AMC has recently announced that they are going to be expanding the Walking Dead universe with movies, TV shows, things like that over the next 10 plus years. They haven't said anything like specific of what they're working on, but there was a article on the Bloomberg report that said that they plan to produce multiple movies and new TV shows based on the graphic novels that spawned the series. And I don't know. I think that's interesting. I mean, they've already got The Walking Dead. They've got the Fear the Walking Dead. And obviously The Talking Dead, which I guess kind of isn't part of the series, but is at the same time. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
So, Britta, obviously we stopped watching, I think, about 2 seasons ago now. Mm-hmm. We'd watched it pretty loyally and pretty faithfully up to that point where pretty much the character Negan comes into play.
Yeah.
And then there was just that scene that everyone talked about, and I don't want to get into it, but that scene happened, and it was disturbing, and it was violent.
This really turned me off it.
And it was really rough. And then I think I watched maybe like 1 or 2 episodes after that. Mm-hmm. But I felt like the will to watch that show had been beaten out of me.
Right.
And I put it down, and I haven't gone back to it, and I've never watched The Fear of the Walking Dead, because I think that came out right around the time when we stopped watching, maybe a little before.
Before.
That just didn't look all that exciting to me. So for me, I kind of feel like this is AMC's way of saying like, hey, and I know that Andrew Lincoln is getting ready to leave the show.
Right.
And so they're going to lose like one of their biggest stars, like one of the characters that everyone said like once he's gone, the show's over. So to me, this sounds like the studio's trying to find a way to say like, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this over here, and look over here, we're doing this, as a way to try to maybe distract some of the hardcore fans from the fact that Andrew Lincoln's leaving, and to try to show like, hey, we've got longevity. This is going to continue to go on. Whether or not all of those movies or TV movies or other shows are going to really pan out and have big numbers and be what they want it to be, I mean, I don't know. That remains to be seen.
Well, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the new mythos. If you look at Star Wars, Star Trek, these major pop culture phenomena. Phenomena.
Do 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 do.
Phenomena. Do 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 do.
Phenomena. Do 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 do.
Yeah, let's not talk about the history of that song. anyway, the Walking Dead is already safely implanted, right? You've got a comic series that it spawned from. You've got the show. You've got a spinoff. But I think it's far too directed in its content, good or bad, whether you love it or not, for it to really branch out as far as I think that they're trying to. And I think if they capitalized on just what they were already doing better, they would have a better run of it. I think there is there's definitely an end to the longevity of The Walking Dead at some point. I don't think it's going to stick around forever. Maybe through comics, because that's definitely a regenerative process for media. But I think they are definitely trying to spread out a little too far at this point. And I'm not a Walking Dead lover. I've watched the first 4 seasons of it. It was okay. I think there are moments that I really did like. But overall, it just really never really kind of impressed me. So I really don't care either way. But from a business perspective, I think they're definitely making some mistakes here.
Like looking back,
Spencer, you go.
Looking back, Stu, like I think I kind of feel like you do. Like I feel as I watched the show, there was big parts that I really loved, and then there was just like periods that I was like, I'm kind of waiting for the next big thing to happen, the next thing that I love again, because there was just long sections where it was just kind of okay, we're just kind of enduring, which I get is like that's probably also part of the process if you lived in that world, in that fictional world. But for a TV show, for me, looking back, that's a lot of dead time that not a lot happens. And I don't know, that's going to be difficult to sustain once your big characters that are beloved are off the show.
Yep. Well, maybe they'll hit a gold mine and get some new people in. But I mean, the characters are really what most people have been invested about. So there you go. Well, I mean, I have some other unfortunate news related to The Walking Dead that kind of makes me cry a little bit.
I know where this is going, but hit it.
Oh, no, I don't want to. So, yeah, game development background. Even though I didn't really get into game design, I definitely have stayed involved with things. I was having a conversation just literally the night before the news came out with this about, they asked me why I wasn't involved in video games since, hey, that's where my degree is. And I'm obviously passionate about that kind of stuff. And the truth is I'm doing pretty well for myself. I'm in an industry that is just growing like a freaking rocket. And, I don't have any need to jump ship because I think this might, balloon somewhere and just end. But game design, that's always been tricky. There are definitely some surges in game design, especially when new, really groundbreaking innovations in the industry come to play, like the birth of the console market, the birth of console competitiveness, online streaming kind of things. There are some really big booms, but we've had our big video game employment stint where, a lot of people could get jobs just about anywhere. These days, it's very difficult in the industry, and a lot of that has to do with the Steam platform method of delivery, free-to-play markets. It's just so volatile these days that most studios don't really know or can guarantee that they're going to have, a job next week.
Right.
Even ownership changes hands of things. We saw Sony Online Entertainment, who was the king of MMOs at one time and other content, they just get overrun by Blizzard. Blizzard gets acquired by Activision. Activision, they're very business oriented, make some cuts. It's everywhere, and you just really never know where you're going to be. So that stability with what I have now, I would never even look at getting into the video game market unless it was something that I knew from a passion perspective was just going to explode. And there's nothing out there for that. So,
right.
Unfortunately, one of my absolute favorite game studios, Telltale, they're closing doors. It was announced a few days ago and confirmed. They've made statements that they've let all but 25 employees go. They're just a small group remains to fulfill the obligations to its board and partners. Note, did not say customers.
Right.
They issued a statement saying that they ran out of time with the strategic redirection for what they wanted to do, which many suspect was the Stranger Things adaptation, which, man, I was really going to be in that.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they closed their doors. They've got a couple ongoing projects. They indicated further comments regarding its product portfolio will be in the coming weeks. Some things, the biggest question that most people had were what were going to happen to the in development games that they had already in play. Right now, the only game that is confirmed to still be ongoing is not what everyone hoped it would be with The Walking Dead. It's with Minecraft. So the biggest thing, I mean, they had already started the new season of The Walking Dead. Now, while I do not really care for the show, the games blew me away, and they blew everybody away. And they have
phenomenal.
They have characters that people are just really invested in. Like right now, everyone's like, what's going to happen to Clementine? What's going to happen with this character? And it's about the characters, not like where's the story going to go. It's these untold stories that we were hoping to get to see. And they have confirmed that The Walking Dead, the final season, will remain unfinished.
Yeah. There's actually been a slight update to that, though.
With the final season of Walking Dead?
Yes. So let me pull it up here real fast. I saw today our friend Cory Barlog, the creator of God of War.
Oh, yeah. We love him, and he loves us in return, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're best friends.
Whether he likes it or
amazing. Not. He retweeted something that came out just a couple hours ago today. Telltale Games put out something that says, "Hi everyone, we have a Walking Dead update for you. Multiple potential partners have stepped forward to express interest in helping to see the final season through to completion. While we can't make any promises today, we're actively working towards a solution that will allow episodes 3 and 4 to be completed and released in some form. In the meantime, episode 2 will release tomorrow across all platforms as planned. We hope to have answers for you and other questions soon." And so they tweeted that out, and Cory retweeted it. But then he responded with a comment, and he says, "I would hope this means that you first pay your entire team their severance and then proceed to finish the final episodes.
Yeah,
I would be fine. Yeah, I would be fine waiting however long it took to ensure we first treated those who worked so hard with the humanity and respect they deserve."
Wow, getting called out by Cory Barlog is not a position to put yourself in.
Because he is a passion guy. Like, he has such passion for his projects. But I guarantee that, like, if he'd been in this situation with God of War, like, he would rather not deliver the game and make sure his people are taken care of.
Yep, for sure. So, they, no severance for these people that have been... I mean, many of these people have been working on these from the beginning of the Walking Dead series. Some of them have been with Telltale from the beginning. It wasn't necessarily like a super large mega studio. I mean, these people have been working together for years and years and writing stories together and bringing things to life together. Even aside from The Walking Dead, you've got The Wolf Among Us, you've got the Batman series, even Minecraft. Oh, what was the other one? Snap my fingers. Borderlands,
Guardians of the Galaxy they did.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, just so many good stories that we'll never get, at least from the same team. Now, pretty sure that their chemistry and their method for delivery of things will definitely be copied by a few different studios looking to kind of take up the reins. I don't know, maybe that will be good down the road, who knows? But this is kind of a punch in the gut.
Yeah. I loved everything that Telltale ever did. I mean, minus Minecraft. I never looked at that. But just a lot of fun stuff, a lot of great storytelling. And that's the thing, is they were really good at storytelling. But I did read something today, because everyone's been asking, how can this, company that, is putting out all these big games with these big licenses go under? And basically someone put it really eloquently. They said, listen, a studio like this ends up, they'd been around for probably 10 years or more before they hit it big with the Walking Dead license. Like, they'd been around for quite a long time. Yep. Telltale had. And he said that basically you look at it this way, is that they hit it really big. They had to pay quite a bit to get a big IP. And then they, they had a hit on their hands. So people wanted more stuff. So then they got another big IP. He says, and typically with these licensed IPs, a lot of the money is going to go towards that licensing fee. And so you've got storytelling and games that are being created, and that basically like they went from doing The Walking Dead to all of a sudden it's The Walking Dead, it's the Fables, right, for The Wolf Among Us, Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy. So you got like, Marvel properties in here, you got Disney properties, you've got, comic book series, like, big, huge properties. And they said that what happens is that people are working crazy, and if you have a bad quarter and you don't hit your earnings, you don't have a lot of cash on hand because a lot of it's going elsewhere. And so all of a sudden you burn through your war chest if you have one bad quarter and your numbers are down. And then if sales don't come through as expected, which is one of the reasons Telltale cited that they're having to close their studios, all of a sudden, you don't have extra cash on hand. You can't pay your people, and you've got to close the doors, even though you're killing it and it looks like your numbers are great and you're putting out all these amazing games. It's not a very profitable entity on the whole.
Yeah, game development, as much as any other industry, if not more than most, is definitely, it takes cash to make cash. And yeah, it moves so fast that if you don't have the cash to meet that quarterly expenditure of whatever you need, you're kind of dead in the water, and either you're getting money up front from something, or you're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and it does not work out.
Yeah. So I'm really sad to see them go, Stu.
They were definitely a favorite, and not just because they put out good games. They have character in and of themselves as what, for everything they produce. So
I was so excited every single time they announced a new game, and when they announced The Wolf Among Us Season 2,
yep.
I was through the roof, and now that'll never happen. But
I loved playing through those games again and again just to get the different endings, because it wasn't just a new ending, it was a different story as you went through that.
Yeah. Speaking of regret, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, he came out just recently. He had an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, and basically they were kind of asking him about, some of the Star Wars stuff. And he says, listen, so he's talking about the Star Wars coming out every year. He says, I made the timing decision. And as I look back, I think the mistake that I made, and I take the blame, was a little too much too fast. You can expect some slowdown. That doesn't mean we're not going to make films. J.J. Abrams is busy making Episode 9. We have creative entities, including Game of Thrones creator David Benioff and D.B. Wise, who are developing sagas of their own, which we haven't been specific about. And we're just at the point where we're going to start making decisions about what comes after J.J.'s. But I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about volume and timing, and the buck stops here on that. And of course, this is definitely in response to the moderate success of Solo. I mean, Solo wasn't the earth-shattering success.
Can we call it moderate earnings of Solo?
Sure.
Success, I don't know. To me, that doesn't quite ring true.
Well, that's the funny thing is, like, if you put Solo up against like any other movie that came out around that time, that's not, if you take the Star Wars name off of it, it made a lot of money. That's just all there is to it. However, they're used to Star Wars movies that are, setting records and, gonna break the $1 billion threshold and like all this kind of, crazy money. And Solo didn't do that. And a lot of people said that they felt it's fatigue. It's Star Wars fatigue is going to start, setting in. And Bob Iger even kind of brought up the point later on. He said, that he was kind of talking about a bunch of other stuff. He says that they want the Star Wars to be an event. When something comes out, when it's been a while, like they want people to go crazy for it. If we start kind of coming out every year, then we start kind of getting into this cycle where nothing gets really tweaked or changed. It kind of seems like it's just more of the same, which is kind of the knock against Marvel lately, is that a lot of people feel like, we're getting multiple Marvel movies a year, and that they're starting to feel very similar. They're different, and I get that. So before Super Friends and specifically Caleb Albers, who does not believe in Marvel fatigue, jumps down my throat, tonally, a lot of these movies are starting to feel very similar. It's a lot of very similar, storytelling. It's a hero's journey. It's a 3-act type of deal where we're going to see the hero rise, we're going to see the hero fall, and we're going to see the hero's redemption at the end.
And then we're going to see a couple sequels for each of them with just a new twist on what ended with the last.
Right. So we're kind of getting to that point somewhat. And so Bob Iger says he doesn't want that to happen with Star Wars. So what does that mean for other smaller Star Wars projects? Some of these side stories. Maybe it takes a little longer. Maybe they shelve some of them. I don't know.
Well, that's like a really fine line, though, isn't it? Because they still want the properties to be profitable from a business standpoint. So if you're not releasing movies, or you wait, certain arbitrary amounts of time just to make it an event, then you're not making money in the meantime. You may have a bigger draw when that event comes to fold, but again, a company that's static is really kind of not doing what it can to be profitable. But at the same time, if they keep pushing movies to keep the money train rolling in, then they do end up with the fatigue. And so that sweet spot is going to, hopefully they've got some science behind it somewhere, because it's going to be a very tricky number to hit as far as how long do you wait in a number of months between movies. Me personally, I would love for it to be an event again, though. Episode 7, the build-up was incredible. And the opening scene for that just did not disappoint for that. And now we're really just kind of, continuing where the last movie left off. It's been a year, or, it's a new little story, no big deal. It's Star Wars, yay, but
Yeah. So here is the thing, and you bring up a good point. You got to remember, too, is that we're also getting Star Wars TV shows. So, we had Star Wars Rebels that was going on. We got the new show Resistance that's going to be coming out later. There's also books that are being published, and there's also comics that are coming out. So there's other media that I think can help fill those gaps. But I do agree that if we had a new Star Wars movie once every 3 years, which was kind of you had 1977, you had 1980 and 1983 for the original trilogy, right? If you had that kind of gap, where a new Star Wars came out once every 3 years, that would be a big event, because you hadn't seen it in a few years, and it would, you'd be excited and you'd want to go see it because it's going to be a while before you can see it again. But if you got the other stuff, the TV show and the comics and the books kind of in and around there, that's not going to appeal to all Star Wars fans, not all movie goers, but for the diehards, for sure they're going to eat that stuff up.
Yeah, but we live in the age of consumer control, and people want everything now. They want it immediately. They don't have the patience to wait anymore. Even, as we kind of unfortunately phase out of the target demographic for anything, younger audiences they move at the speed of the internet. So, if you don't have anything to fill that gap, they stop. So hopefully the shows are good. There's a way to continue this out, but optimal is what they're striving for here, and they're definitely missing the mark. So,
yeah, we'll have to see. I did buy Solo, and I want to give it another watch because, I feel like I need to give that one a second go round as well.
I have no interest in that. I'll play Diablo with you.
Fair enough. Stu, what else you got?
That's all I had. I know we kind of split this up a little bit because Britta was on. Did we get everything?
I've got one. I've got one more.
Oh no!
And I'm only bringing this up because this was weird to me. Okay, so how to broach this? DC put out a new Batman comic that just came out this last week called Batman Damned. And this edition, this volume of this comic, if you have it, or one of the ones that's in print right now, it's probably going to end up becoming a collectible. And probably not for the reason you would think, because it's the first title in a new series. No, because they did something different. We get the first view of the Bat-Wang.
Is that a new weapon?
That's right. Oh, it's a weapon, but I don't know that it's new. the Batwang gets shown in the comic. And I saw like a whole bunch of stuff about Batman and the new Batman Damned. And I was like, what are they talking about? And so I went in to see, to read an article to find out kind of what's going on. Apparently, they released a comic that shows Batman supposedly in a vulnerable state where he's totally nude in the Batcave. And so you get to see the Batwang. And basically, they had edited this so you couldn't get it on the digital form. So like if you got the comic, through Comixology or through the DC app or something like that, you wouldn't see that. But in the one that they printed, it's there. And apparently now, DC's coming back and they've got some Bat regret, and they're saying that they wish that they hadn't greenlit it, that we didn't need to see, the Batwang, and that it shouldn't have happened, and that it really didn't do anything to advance the story, but that the scene was supposed to show his vulnerability in this moment. It's...
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so it's just... What's interesting to me is like we see women drawn very scantily clad in a lot of comics, and some, depending on the comics, sometimes fully nude. That happens. Not stuff I tend to read and and consume, but I know that is a thing. And so this is an instance where it's a major character that's being shown that's a male, and so some people on the internet are like, yeah, this is a good thing. I'm not in that camp. I'm in the camp that we don't need to overly sexualize comic book characters. We just don't need to do that. But more importantly, do we really need to do full frontal nudity? And why the DC? And DC's a major publisher. Why did they decide to go this route with one of their biggest titles, with one of their largest characters? That just sits really weird with me. I don't know.
Trying to do something to... I can't even imagine why. There's just no good reason there. I mean, honestly, I think as a mature adult stuff reader, I think there is a place for some of those things, but I think it's a place that's very directly made for that, for adult comics and whatever. And I think if that's your market and that's your thing and people are interested in that, then great, so be it. But that is definitely a specific audience with a specific genre, without touching mainstream stuff, especially things that, my gosh, you've got kids that are into this. It's there are so many better ways to show vulnerability. While I definitely am against censorship, but I think where you have the market for it, keep it where it belongs. Keep it where it belongs, Bruce.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We want to see the Batarang, not the Batwang.
Okay, you just hold up a sign for that.
That's right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Britta?
I don't know. I just read that and went, why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't read comics, response. So I don't know.
I've never wanted to see Wonder Woman naked. I don't want to see Batman naked.
Yeah.
It's... All right.
I don't really want to see Batman naked.
Can we move on? Do you have more to say about this? Is this a long topic?
I think it's been drawn out far enough.
Okay.
Unless you want me to think of other bat-related names.
No.
Okay. Well, super friends. Last week, Stu and I had a conversation. We talked about, what it's kind of like raising kids in this kind of like digital generation, this information age, and what it was like when we were kids. And our question of the week was, is there something that you wish you could bring from your childhood to your kids' childhood or to children today so that they could experience it? And we asked you the question, and we got plenty of responses. So we're going to go to the first one, and that's going to go to email, which is where we always start. And you can email us at fortofnerd@gmail.com. And that's going to be good old Peter Christensen. And he says, Dear Nerds, when listing kingpins, don't forget Michael Clark Duncan as the Black Kingpin in Ben Affleck's Daredevil. That movie was kind of forgettable. He says, this movie includes one of my favorite lines ever when Bullseye, who killed both of Elektra's parents, says to her, Hey, orphan, wanna play? He says, my wife got quite a kick out of you mentioning pimps having beepers before drug dealers. She's not a resident of the fortress, more of a visitor. Well, I'm glad that your wife was able to be entertained by my shenanigans last week. I occasionally try to do that. And if she listens to this week, apologize for the old Batwang stuff. Sorry. It says, for internet filtering for kids' devices, I recommend a service called Kirby. It installs a VPN certificate on the phone using the same tech corporations use to secure the devices they give to employees. This lets the parental controls affect all network traffic, whether cellular or Wi-Fi. Something like Disney's Circle is fine for tablets, but any smart kid with a smartphone can turn off Wi-Fi to get around a router-based filter. He says, I put in effort to stay on top of consumer technology so that I can make informed decisions on when and how to introduce it to my kids. It's a mix of protection and technical taste to put fads in perspective and understand the implications and consequences of new tech. I would happily trade childhood in the 80s for childhood now. I lived in an isolated suburb, and it was way too hot in Florida to play outside. I read books and played on computers all the time. My childhood would have been the same, but with more books, more information, better games, more movies, etc. The only part I wish I could give them is some sense of what it was like without it, so they can appreciate the abundance they're living with. Thanks for another episode of Nerd Dads Unite. Cheers, Peter Christensen.
Well, you know, we've found a niche. Maybe we should.
Right. No, I like what Peter has to say. That for him, his childhood would have been pretty much the same as now. Just he wishes he could have had more of the abundance and the maybe some of the higher quality content.
Sure. That
our kids have today. And I like that. Going over to the old Facebook, we got a couple responses here. Shay Christie says, I wish they lacked the current technology so kids could be kids. Parents wouldn't need to worry about people hacking into their children's phones and finding their location, or kids having secret apps that look like a calculator to keep things from their parents. Example, naked pictures. That is true. Like, we didn't have to ever worry about that when I was a kid, because if you had a calculator app, it was just the calculator. And the best you could do is spell boobs upside down if you knew how to type it and turn it upside down.
Yeah, but people would put pictures in actual books, so it's not like that wasn't there in one form. True,
but obviously, let's just say kids had to work a little harder back maybe when we were kids to do devious things.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's a lot easier. Anyway, Caleb Albers on Facebook says, I wish I could comment, but being one of your younger listeners, my childhood then and what my childhood would be like is pretty similar. The only thing, I wish the toys that are available now for kids were available when I was a kid. I feel toy companies really upped their game. Off topic, I do have an explanation for the Joker movie situation. There is a comic story that was released very recently explaining the origin of the Joker, and in this story, from what I hear, there have been actually 3 different Jokers in Batman's time, and one of them, which is the direction I'm curious as to whether or not they will be following, one of them is the illegitimate child of Thomas Wayne. If that is the route they take, I think it would be super interesting story to work with if you bring Batman into it. But we need a new Batman, just like Superman, which in my personal opinion, we need someone who encapsulates the same feel that we got with the all-time best Superman ever, Christopher Reeves. So, Caleb, you win massive points with me because I love Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Oh, great. Now you two are in it, and I'm right back out.
He says, lastly, Stu.
Oh, yep.
I'm 100% okay with you talking Hulk or She-Hulk. Just a bit of research needs to be done. Or if you guys had me on, I can correct you in person, and then there'd be no backlash from me.
That was exactly the point I was trying to make.
He says, don't keep people from learning about an amazing character, Stu. Love the show, guys, and can't wait to listen into the game tonight, which is Thursday. Because Caleb has been listening into our D&D playthrough.
Hopefully that's that. I'm interested to actually, Caleb, if just a quick blurb, if you could let us know, like from the show perspective, like what are you getting from that as a spectator? I'm pretty curious.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point because it is something we've talked about, the idea of recording this and making it an audio podcast or maybe streaming it to Twitch. And so, yeah, I'd be curious to know like how he's enjoying it and what he's getting out of it, to give us a direction to go in down the road. Rich Turpin says, I wish they could experience walking to the mall by themselves and watching a movie with friends with no fear. Or maybe to the water slide and spending a few hours there, being a normal kid. We don't allow our kids to be stupid and make mistakes. We shelter them because maybe we were overly stupid when we were young. They have to learn these things or they don't grow up with the tools to live by. You can't prevent them from making mistakes, but you can help them learn how not to make huge ones. So I think Rich is kind of taking the approach that I was kind of taking there, that it's hard because, kids need to be able to make mistakes. We just, we want to shelter our kids, and maybe as adults, we need to be a little more hands-off and say, hey, we want them to, to have that experience. They need to learn how to fail a little bit. We just keep them from making massive failures.
Sure. And I know I kind of took an opposing view on that last week from basically the standpoint of, I think some monitoring is good, that kind of stuff. I am not, the new term is lawnmower parent.
Not helicopter parent?
Well, helicopter parent is where you're like always there watching and waiting for them to get in trouble. Lawnmower parent is apparently where you're like completely removing any accountability whatsoever. And it's like, the story that I saw in this article that's like gotten a lot of trending lately is an example where a teacher starts off the article with being called to the principal's office for, somebody's parent, expecting something important. And the parent's just sitting there with a water bottle going, I wouldn't want him to get thirsty. So he forgot it at home. And here you go. Like removing any adversity whatsoever from the kid's life. I am not about that at all. I think I like the ways that we are able to protect our children from some of those mistakes. I disagree necessarily with the idea of, letting them make phenomenal mistakes or like minor mistakes. I think we can kind of steer away from that personally, but that is in no way implying that I don't think we should take away, that adversity, that challenge in life. I don't think we should be intervening and getting in the way of everything by any means whatsoever. So
yeah, they need to have some personal responsibility for their actions, and they need to be able to, learn like we did. Just, we can also do a better job because my parents let me make lots of mistakes and mistakes that, could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not one to complain. I think I had a great childhood and I loved it. And I think it helped make me the person that I am today, for good or bad. But moving over to Twitter.
Britta knows better than I do.
It's bad, trust me. That's what she's gonna say.
Staying out of that.
I'm a man child with.
Commenting.
I'm a man child with no one to ever have told me how to get away from impulse or to actually have impulse control.
Over on Twitter, we are at Fort of Nerd. You can reach us there. My brother Josh Stapleton at MTTG Street Team says, "I won't rag on this generation as I feel there's way too much putting kids down these days. But I would love my kids to experience the joys of collect calling, but only saying 'Mom, pick me up at school' as the name when asked who the call is coming from."
Yeah.
Oh, did that plenty of times. "Mom, pick me up." Yeah. I got a big kick out of that.
Bob, we had a baby. It's a boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that.
Nerdish67 at dspin67 says, "No cable TV, no cell phones. Playing outside all day. Going to school without the threat of a school shooting, listening to music on a record player, playing board games.
I have a record player. I have board games.
Usually a marathon. Playing card games. I declare war. Go fish. Thanks for the memories. Hashtag FON answers. And it was funny because a few people were like, oh man, now you got me going down, memory lane, as a response to D-Spin67 here. And I mean, gosh, like he hit so many things like, yeah, playing outside all day long. Like you go on a Saturday and you just kick it, right?
You get on your bike and you go and you don't come home until dinner.
Yeah.
Man, I miss that.
Yeah. I would love my kid to do that.
Paul Calico at pcalico84 says, hello, everyone. The thing I wish for kids to experience from my childhood is Saturday morning cartoons. Waking up before mom and dad, make a bowl of cereal, and watch cartoons for 6 hours. Or the Dewey Decimal System along with a card catalog and rotary phones. LOL. Else time, Paul. Yeah, no, Saturday morning cartoons, like, that was a huge part of my childhood. But they're not there anymore. Or at least,
well, no,
you've
got streaming whenever you want it for whenever, so there's no event around it.
It's Tuesday evening cartoons.
Right.
Or Monday midday cartoons. It's whenever you want. And
or Wednesday at 3 a.m. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's not
not a
thing anymore.
Nobody's going to be interrupting Fortnite at Wednesday at 3 a.m.
That's true. That's true. Not even for the bathroom, as we've heard. The last one I've got over here on Twitter, and this one I think for me, while I loved all of the responses this week, and we had some great responses, this one for me just made me laugh, and like I felt this was appropriate, and I think he wins the question of the week. Tim Paulin at tpaulin20 says, walking to school in the snow, uphill, both ways. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Didn't we all do that?
Oh, sure.
I'm still doing
my kids will know.
Still trying to make it to school, huh? Barefoot also. You could have put barefoot in there. That would have been perfect as well. Anyway, super friends, thank you so much for your answers this week. Really appreciate it. We got some new listeners, some new super friends that are joining us that responded. And then we got some, those that have been with us since the beginning or very early on. And, we appreciate that. We love interaction. We are looking forward to our 100th episode.
Oh,
we're going to be bringing out some details here shortly about what we want to happen for the 100th episode and how we want interaction with our super friends, because we're going to focus a lot on that.
Hey, Spencer, should we work out those details?
Yes.
Surprise!
Yes.
We have no idea what we're doing.
No, we got some idea what we want to do, but
I'm kidding.
But we need a little bit stronger planning. Sure. Always.
From the hip.
Always.
Just say,
from the hip.
It's in the works. It's in the works.
It's always in the works. I'm just letting
TBD.
This is what I do for our super friends. I let them behind the wall.
I like it. Well, Stu, how can our super friends help us out this week?
Well, frankly, it's a little tragic, but we're actually running out of Bothans. So if you could please send more Bothans, that will help us to deliver more and better Rebel intelligence. And the best way that we can get more Bothans is we've got to deal with this guy in a van, nondescript, no windows, but he's told us if we get more 5-star reviews on iTunes that we'll get better ratings. He'll feel better about helping us out, and we can get more Bothans. So also leave some comments if you like. We like hearing about the show. We like spreading the word. We like getting on lists. And again, I feel like this is really kind of a permanent addition to this request. Tell your friends. Anyone on Twitter that you're seeing, anyone on Facebook, wherever you're at, word of mouth, your buddy, your coworker, if they're asking about podcasts or, you hear something great, something that inspires you, let them know. Let them know we're out here. Bring them to the show. We'd be glad to have them. Bring them into the fold. I'd really love to see as many people as we can get on board by the 100th episode, just to kind of be there for that milestone and help us carry us to the next 100.
Yeah, print off flyers, do some skywriting, carrier pigeons, smoke signals, whatever you got to do.
Don't put them under my freaking windshield wiper at Walmart, though.
Yeah, those are the worst. So this week we decided we're going to do our movie club. Britta's here. She usually comes in for the movie club, and we discuss a movie. We talk about a movie we've watched, and we dissect it. We talk about elements of the plot, the music, the acting, the casting, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to change it up a little bit this month because we really couldn't decide and or have time to watch a full-length movie. And so we said, why don't we watch something a little smaller? And there's been a whole lot of trailers that's come out for movies. So we decided to pick a handful of movie trailers to talk about and to discuss this week. So I think we should start off with probably the biggest one that was announced that everyone was kind of talking about. And that's the Captain Marvel trailer. So we got a new Marvel MCU movie coming out, and it's going to be coming in March of 2019, like a week after my birthday. So I'm going to turn 40
just for
next.
You.
I know, I'm going to turn 40, and then I get a Captain Marvel movie.
Wait, but that's also a week after my birthday.
Yeah, but are you hitting a milestone this year?
Doesn't matter. It's my birthday.
Do you want me to tell everyone how old you're going to be turning this year?
Doesn't matter. It's my birthday.
Okay, so let's talk about me then. It's going to be 40.
I'm actually gonna have to side with Britta on this one. Birthdays are a big freaking deal. I don't care what milestone it is.
Doesn't matter what age. Big deal.
So in our growing up in my household, yeah, big surprise there. Growing up in my household, my dad's birthday was March 2nd, mine was March 5th. So we always had like cake for like a full week in our household. And then I married Britta, and Britta is the 4th. Hers is the day before mine. So it's like 2 birthdays rolled into one almost. And so, yeah.
Except we usually only have one cake, unfortunately.
Well, it's hard to have 2
usually
cakes.
Yours.
One after
You know
another.
what you should do, Spencer? You should try to sell her on the idea that this is a female lead movie. Thus, she would love it too. You should try that. Go for it.
Britta.
Was I not already excited about this?
I don't know.
Is that what we're working on?
I don't know. So that's the thing. You tell me. You watched this trailer. Are you excited for this?
I'm really intrigued about this, actually. And not just for the fact that it's a female superhero, which I am excited about, but I feel like that's kind of getting,
Right.
Whatever. I had the X-Men. I don't care. There was women there that I thought were freaking awesome. So this isn't new to me. In my mind, I am excited there's a new female in the Marvel series. But anyways, besides the point, I know nothing about Captain Marvel. Like, absolutely nothing. So this is all totally brand new to me and looks very interesting. I really like Brie Larson, who is playing Captain Marvel. I think, I don't know anything about Captain Marvel, so I think, sure, that's a great choice. I don't know any different. But it looks interesting, and I always love a good origin story. So that's what it kind of looks like to me.
Nice.
We do love a good origin story, and this is going to be a period piece. It's set in the 90s. I just had to get that in there.
And I'm like, oh, it's old. It's the olden days.
It's the olden days. Back in the olden days, we
Pepperidge Farm, remembers?
Blockbuster.
Rent videos on VHS.
There were these big plastic things that you stuck in a box and a movie played. It was amazing.
And people made you pay money to rewind them.
Remember you had to actually rent the VCR back in the day, too?
Oh, yeah.
Because we did. We did not own one.
So you're excited. So this trailer, would you say that the trailer for you, Britta, then did what a trailer's supposed to do? It's got you excited and intrigued to go see the movie?
Yeah, because it definitely, like when the Infinity Wars ended and you see the little teaser for Captain Marvel, it took me a minute to realize what that was because, like I said, not super familiar. And so I was like, well, that's cool, but I have no idea who that is or what the story's about. And now I'm getting like a snippet. And I think it did what a trailer should do. It got me intrigued. I'm interested. I'm going to go see it.
Okay. Stu, what about you? Did the Captain Marvel trailer do what a trailer is supposed to do? Did it intrigue you?
So the intrigue around the intrigue is what intrigued me. Getting the stills. We've known about
Intrigueception?
Intrigueception. So getting a little bit of a nibble of it at the end of Infinity War. We already knew that was coming. That was like the confirmation that, for everybody that had been following along at the home game, that this was in fact, the thing. Right. We got the stills. We got this whole let's break the internet thing. From that perspective, only I was really let down by the teaser.
Really?
I didn't think it really revealed anything except for scroll. I don't know. Skrilla. We get to see them a little, just a tad. We only got the teaser. I mean, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. But the thing is that Britta, you hit it, I think, right on the head for me, that this is an unknown superhero to a lot of people. If you've been following along in comics, you know the history of comics, Captain Marvel's been there. And it's certainly no stranger to people who do follow comics. But there are a lot of people who are new to these stories from the movies. And I thought it was a really interesting, if risky, choice to have Captain Marvel be the new leader of the team after Iron Man goes. Iron Man, definitely popular. The Hulk, Thor. You've got all those. Captain Marvel really is going to be coming out of nowhere for a lot of people. And and I guess maybe this teaser kind of answers that. It's a new superhero that's coming from space, yet she thinks maybe she's got history. Is she being rewired? I mean, it adds some questions, but it didn't really floor me like I thought it might. Like, I've even watched a couple of the older MCU trailers and teasers, and I've just always felt more satisfaction from them. So to be as excited as I was about this, I am excited for new territory. I am excited to see, a woman of strength, because it's really a polar opposite from Iron Man. And frankly, and I know it was deliberate, but frankly, towards the end of it, Tony Stark is such an egomaniac that it's difficult to really even kind of buy into that. And that's, exactly why you get the Civil War split to basically begin with. And so I thought this could have been done better. I think it could have whetted the appetite a little bit better. It could have given more questions to ask. And so, yeah, some cool things. Seeing Nick Fury with both eyes was cool. And, some of the details definitely kind of fit in place well. The blockbuster was the perfect opening scene of it. Yes, he did.
Yeah, so
they make him look younger.
I think they're using that de-aging stuff on him.
I need to see the real trailer. When they come out with the first real trailer, that I think hopefully will be a little more telling. We'll see some story to it. But this one was just like, I love the music. The music of the teaser was just crazy perfect, but otherwise, pass.
So I'm going to go back to one of your points, Stu, you made. You said that, Iron Man is such like an iconic leader and that everyone's, so on board with him. But you got to remember that if you weren't a comic book reader and you were watching the MCU movies and the movies only, Iron Man was really an unknown quantity to a lot of the movie-going public that just are watching just Marvel movies. Because in the past, you'd seen big stuff. You'd seen Spider-Man movies. You'd seen X-Men movies. The Fantastic Four movies, I guess, if you want to, they come from the Marvel comics. But you really hadn't seen Iron Man. I'd say most people would say they would know Hulk, and they would know Spider-Man, they would know Captain America, some or Thor. Like, those names were a little bigger. But for me...
I strongly disagree. I mean, Iron Man, the song from Ozzy, that evoked that, and that was tied to that. And all kids that I knew of knew who Iron Man was.
But not from movies. So, like, in his first movie... Like, if you were watching, I'm talking just people that watch movies, right? Because Britta was saying, hey, she doesn't read the comics, so for her, Captain Marvel's a new thing. But Britta, when you watched the first Iron Man movie, did you have any concept of who Iron Man was?
No, I'd only heard the name, but I didn't really know anything about him until I watched the movie.
And now, though, would you say, like, Iron Man is the man? Like, you totally love Iron Man, the character... Tony Stark.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's a household name now. Everybody knows who Tony Stark is. Everybody knows who Iron Man is. Everyone knows what he does, how he does it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's my point, Stu. Is I'm saying not people that read comics, not people that maybe watch the cartoons, but just movies only.
No,
like I think there's room for Captain Marvel to establish that kind of Tony Stark level team leader, but they've got to do the movie right. It's got to be a good movie.
Again, I most people that I know knew who Iron Man was, even if it was just the name and they knew that he was a character. They may not have known his story. They knew who Iron Man was. Captain Marvel, I think, is far more unknown in that space.
Maybe. I kind of look at it as like the Doctor Strange thing, right?
Sure. Yes. That is a much better analogy than Iron Man to Captain Marvel.
Which Doctor Strange is just my way of getting back to Iron Man, because basically Doctor Strange is Iron Man. So, yeah.
But not the character name. So
yeah, maybe you're saying Iron Man has a little more name recognition going in.
Yeah, I got that, because I'd heard of Iron Man before. I hadn't really ever heard of Doctor Strange, so
I watched this. I watched this teaser trailer, and I really liked it because of the way they're trying to build the momentum and like some of the hype for this. Because they have that moment where they said like they said something like like her, like the moment that made her a hero, and then they fade in like the A and the O on the ends of it, and so like you can tell that they're trying to build momentum. Like this is a big superhero, a big female superhero, and like I get what they're trying to do with that, and I think it's effective in that teaser trailer. But what I don't get, and we talked about this a little before, I think with a comment that Caleb Albers wrote in on Facebook, is that you see her punch that old lady on the subway or the train, right? And if you didn't know the context of maybe why she'd be doing that,
right,
that seems a little out of the ordinary that, this woman's going to be punching this elderly woman in the face. But then when you take into account like what Caleb Albers said about the Kree and how that they can basically like shapeshift and make themselves look like other people, so it could be a bad guy disguised as, a normal person. Then you're like, oh, okay, that makes a little more sense. But boy, that little clip has been memed to death already on the internet. Like, this is me. This is Mondays. This is what I think of Mondays, stuff like that.
By the way, I'm so glad that I'm not the only person who made the mistake. You said Kree?
Yeah.
Kree. Were the Kree the people from like Guardians of the Galaxy?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Skrulls. I just actually had to
yes.
look it up to make sure I got it right, because we do want to just
Skrulls.
We don't want to just be random about it. But it's like the Kree. I know them.
I was like, yeah,
I know
they're
who
bad
they
guys.
are.
Cool.
Well, the funny thing is in one of the promotional materials, I think we see one of the people that are in there looks like one of the Kree from Guardians of the Galaxy at the very beginning, and I think we're going to see some tie over from some characters.
Yeah, that's true.
With like Ronan the Accuser and stuff. So I think we're going to see some crossover with Kree and Skrulls and,
Maybe, yeah. You're right.
The whole gamut of bad guys.
Right, but we don't see that in this teaser trailer. We saw a little bit of that in some stills only that were released, I think, previous in the week before this.
That's right.
I liked it. I thought it was good, but I am with you, Stu, where I really liked it and I'm excited, but I really want the full trailer. I think the full trailer will help flesh out a little bit more of what's going on. Is Carol Danvers from Earth, or are these like implanted memories? Like you kind of don't really know, but
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, she looks good. We know we're going to get Agent Coulson back. We know we're going to get Nick Fury with 2 eyeballs, and he looks younger. I'm curious, and this comes right after our birthdays. So happy birthday to us. We'll have to go and celebrate and watch Captain Marvel come next March.
Yeah.
So let's move on. This next one, this was a full trailer to follow up a teaser that we saw a little while ago. Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet.
I am on it. I'm all
excited.
over it. I loved the first trailer. I was excited. I didn't expect to like Wreck-It Ralph, frankly, when I first went to go see it. It was kind of obscure and great. It's like a team cartoon and it's video games and yada yada. I didn't think it was going to have any standout character, and boy, was I wrong. I loved that first movie. I even went for For Halloween, I went as the Donut Cop. It was part of a team costume for my work, and we did Wreck-It Ralph, and we had a Ralph, we had the girl, we had the Donut Cop, Dax. It was fantastic, and it was phenomenal. I loved everything about it. I've watched it several times since. So to have this go into the internet and to have this all kind of be this brand new territory for the characters, not just new territory, but in this trailer, we see kind of some new, friendship situations,
Character development.
Yes. Some good humor. I really love where they're going with this. And I hate to use the word wholesome, but because I like edgy stuff, but this really looks wholesome. And I love that it may have some message in there. I think that's something that may be lacking from some more modern cartoons, or maybe it's regurgitated. I don't know, but I love this approach to it. And I love that they're taking it kind of to real life meshed with internet and all the crazy stuff from a new perspective that's a little twisted from being inside of it. I loved it to death. It's going the way of the
Britta,
Bothans.
what did you think?
Yeah, I am in agreement. I mean, Wreck-It Ralph, when it first came out, I was like, I don't know what this movie is. I have no idea. We ended up going to see it. It was the first movie we went to after we had Charlie.
Right.
Who was just a tiny little baby, just wrapped up. And I was blown away. It was phenomenal. And so I'm really excited about this movie. The only thing, I know it's going to be awesome because the first one was so good. But I'm after watching the longer preview, I'm a little worried that they put so much into this preview that I'm worried it's going to be one of those situations where you feel like a lot of the best moments are in the preview. I'm really hoping it's not going to be that situation. I mean, Pixar does awesome with these things, and Disney and stuff, and I'm hoping it's going to be as good as I want it to be. But it looks hilarious, like all the random stuff. And it's one of those movies that I know that, like, I'm going to go into it, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to laugh and get a kick out of it, and then my children are also going to love it. And even if they don't understand some of the things that are going on, they will think it's hilarious no matter what. So I'm excited to be able to go as a family to this movie and have us all be able to enjoy it together. But I think it looks good.
Well, I think you're wrong about one thing. No, I don't. I just wanted to be antagonistic. I'm getting used to that this
always
episode.
Right.
I hear that a lot. So here's what I thought. I watched the full trailer, and I really thought it was a good trailer. I think it expands a little bit more on the teaser trailer that we got. And I gotta admit, I loved the little gag in the teaser trailer where Vanellope von Schweet ends up with all the other Disney princesses, and
for sure.
Cinderella breaks her glass slipper. Oh my gosh, that like the humor in that moment is just amazing. Just amazing. Were you poisoned? Were you left for dead? It's like, no. Did a man ignore you and expected?
Kidnapper and slave?
Yeah, fixed to do everything. Yes, you are a princess. Like I loved that. And that was like the highlight of that teaser trailer for me. But this one, what really stuck out to me, Stu, is I think what you hit on, and I wanted to hit on as well, is character development, right? Like there's a kind of little scene where they say something like, you don't have to have the same dreams as your friends, and you can see like a hologram of Ralph in the background, like looking like his heart is being broken because Vanellope realizes that she wants maybe something different than Ralph does.
Right.
And so I love this idea because character development in something like this, in a sequel, it would be really easy to just let's tell a fun little story and we'll make it silly and kind of goofy and we'll rake in the money. But to actually say to actually apply like some sort of real story, and maybe there's a value there, maybe there's something for kids and parents to take away from it message wise, I think it's a good thing. And I think that if that's what it looks like, because that's kind of how it feels to me, I think that's a really great way to approach something like this, because you can still make a fun movie that's got a lot of humor and a lot of good stuff. But the first Wreck-It Ralph game had some tender moments. It had some heart to it and to the story. And you got to see, this guy who ends up, caring for this other, character, and that he wants to protect her. And, it kind of takes her under his wing. And now you're going to see, her maybe growing up a little bit more and ready to kind of go out on her own, and him having a hard time with that. At least that's kind of the way it appears from the trailer.
Yeah, the first movie was really about character development for both of those characters. Mm-hmm. So it would definitely be a huge miss not to at least continue that. Now, I know it does look to be bigger, and I'm sure maybe we won't get as much. I'd be happy to be wrong, but it feels like it's really continuing that trend, and I like it.
Yeah, because we only see Fix-It Felix Jr. in there for maybe like a split second. And I hope that's not the way the movie goes, because I really liked his character, because it was a lot of comic relief and just a lot of kind of that goofy, not Zach McBrayer, but what's his name?
Yeah.
McBrayer, that's his last name. Just like the golly gee, shucks Williker, kind of, good old boy, humor. Anyway, I love it. I thought it was a great trailer. I really think that this movie's going to be awesome, and my kids can't wait to see it.
3 thumbs up from Fortress of Nerditude.
Or 6 thumbs up. I mean, whatever.
No, I've got water in the other hand.
Ah, gotcha.
I can't be bothered.
Gotcha. Okay, so something else that I thought we should talk about. Daredevil season 3 just released a full trailer for the upcoming show. I know Britta watched, I think, the first full season of Daredevil with me, but you have not gone on to the second season, right?
No, I have not.
So
a little rough.
I know you said the first season was a little rough, and not necessarily like graphic wise and like violence wise, but just the content. Some of the episodes were a little too heavy for you, right? The second season, in my opinion, wasn't as bad as that first season, as far as I know some of the issues, that we've talked about for why you struggled with it. But at the end of the Defenders, you kind of get the feeling that good old Matt Murdock is not going to be coming back. And all of a sudden, Daredevil season 3. Stu, you're kind of up on the old Daredevil. What do you think of this trailer?
Why, yes, I am. I mean, there's no way that he wasn't coming back. I mean, I know that for story elements, he's been, quote, killed off, but everybody knew he was coming back. Right. So, I loved this, because this is kind of, I like the darker stuff. I like the character change. I like the temptation of things. The first 2 seasons, we see Murdoch basically struggling between, doing the bad thing in the name of good, trying to justify it to his friends that he's still doing the right thing, maybe to himself. We see some confession scenes and stuff. He still feels this guilt about things, but still feels like it's justified. In this one, I think we see the hint of he's just had enough, and he's embracing the devil. And
so it's time to let the devil out.
And he's going to pay hell on Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to see that character just open up, be vulnerable to whatever it takes to get it done, and just let loose.
Yeah, I watched this trailer, and I kind of had this similar thoughts that I looked at this and I was like, not Matt Mercer. Completely different. Matt Murdock. Matt Mercer, voice actor and professional DM. Matt Murdock, the character Daredevil. We've seen a very, I think, reserved Matt Murdock. Like he's almost like on the chain. Like he's keeping himself from really going for it at times and holding back, because he is like having that internal conflict of like, I'm a good person doing bad things for the right reasons. And this trailer to me was all about like, no, like that time is over. It's now time to let the devil loose and, to really rain down upon this city and eliminate, evil. And it says something like the only way to get rid of evil is to suffocate it out. Yep. And I'm just like, oh, this is a different tone. This seems much darker. This seems like Daredevil's going to be whooping some tail in a all new way.
Yeah. I was disappointed we didn't see Finch in it, though. Or, sorry, I'm thinking about Fisk.
Yeah.
Because we know he's coming back.
Yes. And, gosh, it's just, I want it. I want this. I just want this now. I mean, after watching the Punisher, and the Punisher was so good, I've now got to go back and catch up on season 2 of Jessica Jones, season 2 of Luke Cage, and season 2 of Iron Fist. I can't wait for season 3 of Daredevil. I need more of it. Britta, you watched this trailer. What did you think? Is a trailer like this after you've kind of left a series and kind of haven't followed up on a second season? Does this make you want to go back and jump into it and kind of get caught up, or was this not enough for you to make you want to go back and reinvest time?
I don't know. I don't know if it was enough, because to me it just looked, it looked appropriate for what the series is from my point of view, from, the first season and stuff. I was like, okay, this makes sense. Just because it was so minimal, you know what I mean? Like, because it was pretty much just him standing there and stuff. And I just think I'm still not really that excited about it, so I might not go back to it. But it's definitely, like, it felt like it was, for people who've probably been following it, probably something they would enjoy, because it just, like I said, it felt like it fit the story from what I'd seen.
I do think you should go back and watch the second season and then watch The Defenders.
No. Don't make her watch Defenders.
Maybe I will.
Well, The Defenders wasn't great, but I don't know. I like The Defenders only because it brought everyone together.
Yeah, if you're going to follow Daredevil, then you do need to watch The Defenders, but could have been so much better.
I also think she needs to watch season 1 of Jessica Jones because, David Tennant.
Well, yeah. You have to get through the first half of that season for it to get good, but once David Tennant's really in it, he's a good villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that will tempt me to go watch that show. So
yeah,
that's on my list now.
You could skip Luke Cage, and probably Iron Fist as well. Although I like both of them together in The Defenders. I'd like to see a series with the two of them as like a buddy cop type of adventure. But okay, so the last one I found. So this is interesting because this is a little different. And I just wanted to talk about it because this just tickled my fancy. This got me all in the feels. So we know that there's a new anime Star Wars series that's going to be coming out later this year called Resistance. And there was a fan-made trailer by someone from a YouTuber by the name of Dmitry Grozov. And basically what he had done is he had taken the episode 4, A New Hope, and basically given it the anime treatment, but it looks like it's anime from, I don't know, Stu, would you say like the mid-late 80s, something like that?
A little more polished, 90s, but close, yeah.
Yeah, so it has more kind of like that old school kind of anime feel to it versus kind of what's kind of like new and current. So I tossed this in because I thought this would be fun to watch. So it's obviously not a show that's going to be in development. However, having watched this, I want this more than anything. Like this, I'm sure the Resistance one is going to be fine, but I watched this, I was like, oh, no, please do this. Leave the Japanese voices in. I will read the subtitles.
Yes. I was stoked. Oh my God. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I don't want this in English. Like just the enunciations of the character Darth Vader was like very, kind of like Shogun Samurai kind of thing.
Yeah.
Luke was not whiny. That was a plus.
Right?
I would totally watch this with subtitles. I would prefer it to be with subtitles, exactly as you said. And it was really good. I liked it.
Yeah. I actually don't care for anime really at all. It's just not my thing, but I watched this and was like, okay, I would actually watch this. This would be the one anime thing I would watch. Just like that, because I did love the subtitles and everything. Like, I love the sound of all of it.
I want to learn the lines from the trailer.
Right? I would watch the crap out of this. It's a 2-minute and 20-second video. And I was like, can we make this a 2.5-hour movie? And then give me Empire Strikes Back and then give me Return of the Jedi like this? Because I would watch the crap out of that. I actually probably would watch this maybe even more than my original trilogy at this point. Like, I'm so excited by this little fan-made trailer. And so I'm going to make sure that I put all the all the trailers, the links to the trailers in our show notes this week, so that everyone can go out there and watch this, especially this one. But I want everyone to to go have the option to see the others if you missed them. But what I loved about this, I think the most, was the fact that the animation is just on point. It's super exciting, and the Japanese voices and the subtitles were really good. But then they did the thing where, like, they would have like some sort of like a title, like, some sort of like, if you watch a trailer, it'll say like, a new hero was born. And then, you'll see like the action, and then it'll say like, this person must stand up to adversity. And it's just kind of, block lettering. But in this one, it was all in Japanese, and there was no like translation for it. And so I don't know what it was saying, but it had that feel of like a trailer that got me all jacked up. I'm like, dude, please, someone make this thing happen. I will gladly pay money for a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe if this could be a thing.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
It was groovy.
So anyway, it was a little fun thing. I mean, I know it's not a big thing, and it's just a trailer for a little fan-created thing that's probably not going to go anywhere serious. But if wishing and hoping could make it true, I mean, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. So anyway, that's, like I said, we wanted to do a little thing, a little different, talk about some trailers, kind of do a little trailer frenzy here. So I want to ask you guys this. What is, out of the ones we've watched, or maybe something that is upcoming you've seen a trailer for, my question of the week is, what's your favorite new trailer you've seen? What's the one thing that's got you super excited? Britta?
I'm definitely going to go with Wreck-It Ralph 2. I'm probably most excited about that one, and I love getting this full trailer with more info on what the actual plot and story is, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay. I like it. I'm with you. What about you, Stu?
Yeah, even without doing the show, I would say probably the most excited I've been. It's either, what is that other, the new movie with Jack Black? Is it the Clock Behind the Walls?
Clock Behind the Walls.
Yeah.
The House with the Clock on the Walls?
House with the Clock in the Walls.
That's it. So that one and Wreck-It Ralph are the two trailers that I've actually been enjoying. So even without talking about this, it's probably a tie with Wreck-It Ralph 2 in that one. So I'm pretty stoked about both of those movies.
So for me, I definitely would have to say Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's way high up there for me. But also I'd say really maybe that's like the number one that's like I'm currently digging on. But Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer for the new Queen
I was actually
movie.
looking at that just before we did the show.
That trailer for me right now still, because of the way they did the music and the way they edited that all together, and I'm super excited to go see this thing. Like, I think that needs to be a movie club, and we talk about that just based on the trailer alone. So anyway, super friends, we want to hear from you. What is something that you were super excited about based on a new trailer that's come out? So this can be, maybe something that still hasn't come out yet, but the trailer's a little bit older now, or something that just happened. But let us know. You can get us all the normal places. That's going to be Facebook, which is facebook.com/FortofNerd, Twitter @FortofNerd, our email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail like Paul Calicote did for the last 2 weeks, which is 801-477-7687. And we will read your answers and listen potentially to your answers next week. Stu, like I said, we're coming up on episode 100. We've got some things in the works. We've got some surprises we're kind of working towards. Man, how stoked are you for 100?
I'm there. I'm feeling the pressure of it's just a few episodes away, and we want it to be spectacular, and I'm a little nervous-sided for it, honestly.
A little nervous-sided. I like that. Yeah, it's something I'm excited about. It's a big milestone. I didn't ever think that I would get to 100 episodes of this. When I started it, I thought, yeah, this is going to go maybe like 10 episodes, and then it's going to crash and burn. But here we are at almost 100 episodes, 96 in the books, and we're still going strong, and I love that. Britta, once again, love having you here with us. Love having you join us in the Fortress of Nerditude. You bring some grace and class that we desperately need and we lack.
Yep. I can't argue that. Sorry.
Glad that you're here
Thanks,
with us.
guys. I appreciate that. Always glad to join you guys.
Awesome.
Well, Stu, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you. Always.